We are up in the happiest place on earth, and that is the studio. We are here on what is it? I was about to say November, but it is December 31st. Happy New Year to every single one of you. Happy New Year's Eve. I hope you have a phenomenal time tonight. And for those of you who are around my age, I hope you get to bed earlier than you possibly can. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in for this full year. I was sitting with my men's group yesterday, actually, my buddy Craig, and we were sitting down and we were talking about all the amazing things that's happened over the year. And I got this little idea. I mean, obviously, it's something that most people are doing right now. But I got the connection point from my wife because she was going through pictures. And as she's going through them, she was looking at all the amazing things that have happened over the course of this last year. And we've been, obviously, I think all of us have been blessed, but there's been highs, there's been lows. And I just want to encourage you. I want to encourage every single one of you out there that, you know, if you've hit a mountaintop and this year, I want you to celebrate it. But most of us haven't hit all mountaintops, and we don't jump from mountaintop to mountaintop. We have the tendency to go into the valley. And the valley, it's an interesting place because when you go into the valley, it gets dark, it gets nasty, it gets dirty, all those things. But what I've learned over time, and I don't have all this stuff figured out. That's the thing that some of the people have maybe come to me with. I had a guy years ago come to me and say that he actually stopped watching any of my social, any of my at the time, I don't think that I had the podcast, but he said he had to stop watching it because he's like, my life isn't that positive and I have real stuff going on. And I want to encourage you because, you know, all of us go through the valleys, all of us go through the challenges. And, you know, there's the cliches of it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it. But I just want to encourage you where you're at. And, you know, if you are in a valley or you're on the way down into a valley, take the time to rest. Take the time to rest and rejuvenate yourself and really reflect back on all the amazing things that have happened, not only in this year, but, you know, throughout your life. And I want to honor you in those things. I want to honor the single mothers. I had a young lady that I got a chance to be able to speak to her company, and she's a single mother of 4, and she is working her butt off. And you know, I had asked about her, and I think one of the interesting things is the person that I was talking to, her manager, she started listing off all of the incredible things that she had done throughout the year and all the stuff, and I just said, stop, wait, because the fact that she's a single mother of 4 and she's waking up in the morning, that's a victory. That's something to shout out at the top of at the rooftops. And I just want to encourage you as much as humanly possible today, and for you to be able to take my challenge to you is take out your photo album and look back through all of the amazing things and the pictures that you've taken throughout the year and do this. And this is what my wife was doing. And then we actually went through in our men's group, we went through our prayer list. And this was something that I found that I failed at this year. Didn't have too many entries, had a couple of months where I entered things in and listed off my prayers. And it's amazing because the things that I thought were so important at the time, or they were earth-shattering, or that I didn't know what was going to happen, it's like God delivers. And it brought me back to this morning where, you know, I was spending some time with God, and my mom's voice was so prevalent. And what my mama used to say to me all the time was that he's seldom early, never late, and always right on time. And she would generally say this when I was looking for something to happen when I wanted it to happen. She was always encouraging me, but there was times where I didn't want to be encouraged. I just wanted the answer, or I wanted the result that I wanted. And she would say this to me, he's seldom early, never late, and always right on time. And it was hard to hear, although, you know, sitting in that principle, and I would like to think that I have it all figured out, but I don't, and I haven't, and I still don't. But I'm committed through the research of wisdom and staying in integrity, just meaning that you're the same in the dark as you are in the light. I'm committed to finding out or looking for this, and not that I'm going to find a place to be able to figure it out, because none of us will, but to start to understand some of the wisdom that my mom gave me and my pops gave me from a very early age. And I wanted to share that with you guys today. I've been sitting with this truth for almost my whole entire life, as far as, seldom early, never late, always right on time. And the cliches, are so strong. They're always one of those things where, the person who delivers it thinks that they're just going to give you the golden goose and then everything's going to be okay. For the person receiving it, the argument is always, and I've been in this spot, and I'm constantly in this spot, is the argument is, well, you don't know what I'm going through. And you're right, I don't. And when we're given the advice, or when we're given the cliche or anything like that, that person generally doesn't know exactly what you're going through, although God does. And so I want to encourage you today, and to be able to sit in and realize that, here's a couple of cliches for you. You may not be exactly where you want to be, but thank God that you're not where you used to be. And again, back to my mom, and I would argue that this is a cliche, because I don't know that it's a cliche in the fact that it's true and that it's based and rooted in wisdom, and I didn't realize it until later on. But, it's fitting too that on today, which is the 31st of January or 31st of December, the last day of the year, Proverbs 31 is about a godly woman. And I had a godly woman in my life, and her name was Jackie Cardenas. That was my mama. And she gave me this truth. And, I wanted to look at it and explore it a little bit. So I think we're supposed to run a commercial too. The Vibe Room is coming up. It's March 11th here in Carlsbad. Tickets are selling out already, but if it is something that you want to come and check out, I tell you, it's unbelievable. Dee Dee Hudley, Anthony Hudley, Harry Hudley, they all came and hung out with us. Vince from Jurassic Sport Fishing came out. Let's see, Jeff Brownell came out. My buddy Wayne, my buddy Joe Schumpert. The room was packed, and it was packed with people that I have a very eclectic mix of people that I've been able to be around, and I get a chance to be able to bring them together at the Vibe Room, where there's live music, there's comedy, there's interviews, and there's networking. It is an unbelievable experience. Here's a little commercial so you can know what it is, and then let's dive right in.
Yeah, and this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launchpad flights. Yeah, this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launchpad flights. We begun surfing waves too low, made our own rules everywhere we go. Held tight to the truth that our parents declared. Anything is possible, the love stayed there. Now Rob's daughter ballin' on the end scene, Olay scene. Will's kids live dreams we never could have seen. This the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launchpad flights.
And watching that, I have a huge smile on my face, because it's going to be here at Loft 100 Studios. I just got interviewed by Sully and Mary and Mike, and it was awesome. So the Vibe Room is a live version of the podcast. And, again, I get to bring together some incredible people. And hopefully I'll get a chance to be able to bring Will to you, my best friend in the world, and my brother Rob, and I think Tim Semmelroth will be coming out to the Vibe Room this time. He wasn't able to make it this last time. He had a bunch of things going on, but it's incredible. So let's go back to this emphasis of seldom early, never late, and always right on time. And what I wrote down with this is that seldom early, this happens when you're not prepared. And a lot of times we have desires. This is what I found. We have desires, but we're not ready for those desires, right? We're not ready to receive those desires. I had a conversation with my brother a couple years ago, and I sat down and I told him, I told him some of the things that were happening and some of the things that I wanted to happen. And he said, well, outside of, that thing that you want, is there anything outside of that that is challenging? And I said, no. I mean, he's like, are you doing exactly what you want to do? Yes. Are you doing it with who you want to do? Yes. Are you excited about that? Yes. Well, then this one little result that you're thinking about, that's on its way. But have you ever thought that you're not prepared for that blessing yet? And if you receive it now, you'll mess it up. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to listen to it, but it was true because I wasn't prepared at the time. And it made me think back to the time when we were in high school. We lived in Lompoc, California. And, my pops would work on cars, and we lived about 40 miles outside of from our high school or from our hometown in a little town called Gaviota. It wasn't even a town. We lived on the side of the road in a double wide mobile home. And my dad worked on cars, so people would break down all the time, and then he would just work on their car or whatever it was. And my mom would invite him in to dinner, and we would have this whole thing. And I remember people would give my dad things. Like, I remember he helped a guy out, and then the guy gave him a car. Well, the car didn't work, but my dad worked on cars. So my dad took the car in. It was a 71 Corolla station wagon, 2-door station wagon, which I still don't understand to this day because you got to climb over the seat in a station wagon. It's a little tiny one. But it was that beige color that nobody wants. You know the one that I'm talking about. And we got this thing, and my dad worked on it, and then kind of pieced it together, and it became my brother's first car. And this Corolla station wagon was, it was everything to us. And we would roll in that bad boy. And I remember at this time, this is when, booming systems started to come, and you wanted bass in the back of the car, and you wanted all these things. Well, I remember telling my dad I wanted 50 series tires. I didn't even know what they were, but Eazy-E talked about them from NWA when Straight Outta Compton came out, and he was and Eazy Does It, and he was talking about 50 series tires, and that's all I wanted, and I wanted these spokes that the wheels popped out, but we couldn't afford them at the time. And what I thought about in this part this morning when I was saying that God is seldom early, that our blessings are seldom early because he doesn't want to bring them into our life. God doesn't want to bring them into our life when we're not prepared to be able to sustain it. Well, at the time, we had that Corolla station wagon. I am so happy today that I did not have, we didn't have enough money because I wasn't making any money at the time. I was working at a garage changing oil, but there's no way that I could get 50 series tires and some Dayton spokes that I wanted to get that stuck way out of the car. Plus, that car would have looked like idiotic, and the rims would have costed more than the actual car itself. And I'm so glad because God was delaying something, or I was saying, no, you need to give me my rims. You need to give me my 50 series tires. But somehow, some way, this is a pretty simple one. I think everybody else, every one of my friends was like, I'm glad that you don't get those, and you shouldn't get those on that car. But at the time, it's all that I wanted. But God knew that the preparation part, those wheels probably would have fell off that car. They probably would have got stolen or something like that. I wanted the most booming system ever too. My dad, worked it out, and I bought some 12 or 10 inch, subwoofers, and we built a box, and we didn't have enough money to be able to get the particle board. So we did it with plywood, and that's a bad decision. And what was challenging in this too is that we got it. But again, I think that, we got it, but we weren't really prepared for it because the back of the hatchback on the Corolla station wagon didn't actually lock. And so we took it to school, and we got to play the music, and didn't have the 50 series tires, but we had the bootleg system in the glove compartment. And, we brought it to school, but the back latch didn't work, and it didn't lock, and didn't lock all the time. And we came back out, and our stereo was gone. And so I look at this, that there's so many times in our lives where we're desiring something, but we don't have, the preparation isn't there, the foundation isn't laid, and then we get frustrated because the blessing didn't come. But the blessing didn't come because God was, it's not because he was saying, no, you're bad, or, I'm punishing you. It's just because he needed to be able to prepare the situation. But sometimes we get impatient with it. And I think about this because, sometimes it could take a year. Sometimes it could take, 3 months, 4 months, a week, 2 weeks. Sometimes it could take 5 years. In this instance, it took 25 years. I had done a speaking engagement in 2000 in Provo. And this was very early on in my career. I volunteered. I drove my crew up, and I went and spoke at this school in Provo. It was one of the first Paul Mitchell schools. Well, little did I know there was a little young lady that was sitting in the audience, and 25 years later, she would get a job with a company, and that company would be having a convention and needing a keynote speaker. And 25 years later, that girl who was sitting in the audience in 2000, in the year 2000 in Provo, and just in school, she went through school, and now she's working with a company. That company is called Spec, and Spec needed a keynote speaker, and she said, I know the exact one, and she's put my name into the hat. Now, I was at the time, like, had I come into that company earlier on, I would have come in as Kelly, the hairdresser, who happens to speak, but the transformation and the metamorphosis of my career, getting into the keynote speaking space and going into it inside, outside the industry, all those things. Now they were hiring me as a keynote speaker, Kelly, but it took 25 years to be able to germinate, right? Or I don't even know if that's the right word for it, but it took 25 years for it to settle in and to be able to grow. And this is the part that's blows my mind, because 25 years later, actually on my 50th birthday, I get the email that says, hey, we would like you to come and speak at our conference. And when I find out that it's a young lady that was sitting in a seminar that I had done 25 years before, you just never know. And so it goes to that planting the seed, but also that God is seldom early. He's never going to bring something before the foundation is laid for you to be able to sustain it. And the another situation, which is Julie Vargas, I want to give a huge shout out to her. I was at the Mandalay Bay, and this was probably early 2000s also. It was probably 2002, 2003, somewhere around there. Well, my friend had told me that he was speaking at the Mandalay Bay for a company, and for me to come over. And that day I was not having that great of a day. I hadn't had, I had unbusy days, and that used to really impact me. And I was like, I don't really want to go. And then I finally said, in my head, like, I had committed to my friend, I'm going to go over. And so I go over, and he brings me in. Little did I know that he was actually going to bring me up in front of the crowd, and we were going to kind of talk together. His name is Gary Spellman, great friend of mine. And the company happened to be a company called Sport Clips. And at the time, I think they had 300 locations total. And in the front row, there was a lady who complimented me on my necklace. Well, my dad had taught me early on, my pops, that if somebody compliments you on something, then just go ahead and give it to them. And so I took off the necklace, gave it to the lady in the front. No harm, no foul. She thanked me, gave me a hug, whatever it was. It was a cross necklace that I had. And, I just moved on from it. Well, little did I know, this was in, I believe it was 2024. So this is 22 years later, somewhere around there. I'm speaking at a conference for Sport Clips, and now at that point they have 1,700 locations, about 3,500 people in the audience, and I'm just about to go on, and Julie Vargas is a great friend of mine, and I give her a hug, whatever it is, before I'm about to go on, and she just mentioned quickly, right before I'm about to walk on stage in front of 3,500 people, she's like, hey, it just meant the world. I said, I told her, it means the world to me that you believe in me and that you've helped me in my career and all these things. And she's like, something that really has impacted me and has stayed with me is when you gave me a necklace 22 years ago. And I stopped and I was like, oh my gosh, in my head, I didn't even realize it was Julie. Well, the crazy thing is Julie was the #1 employee in Sport Clips. So she was the first person to get hired. And now they have 1,700 locations. And now she's a decision maker. And now the reason why I get to come in and speak with them is because of Julie Vargas. But see, God is seldom early, right? And there was times through the 22 years that I was saying, oh, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? but God needed to prepare it as we went along, and that's another one. And so the second one in this is the fact that he's never late, and this was a big thing for my pops. So my pops was big on the fact that the bus was made for you, and therefore it can never leave the station without you. And because I would always, especially if you're in sales or whatever it is, like sales tactic is like, if you don't get it now, then it's going to be gone and you're going to watch someone else walking around with what you desired. How would that make you feel? And in not so many words, but they try and create and I'm not saying that sales is bad. Sales is great. We need to sell things. But I've found that when you feel like, oh my gosh, I need to get this thing because if not, then I'm going to miss out. Generally you can pause for a second and realize that, God's never late. Like the bus is not going to leave because the bus was made for you. This was a hard concept to understand, and I'm still figuring this out throughout my life because there are times, and there was a time with the 300ZX, that was my ultimate car, a 96 300Z that I had always wanted. And I remember I was in Vegas with my brother. We were about to go into the movies, and this dealership was calling me because there was a emerald green 300ZX 96, and I was looking for that specific car, but I wasn't looking for that color. And we're just about to walk into the movies, and I was like, Rob, what do you think, man? This thing, they go fast, and I think that I'm going to miss out on it and all this stuff. And he's like, what I think is that you should, put down your phone, not worry about that, and come and watch this movie right now. And what was amazing about it is at the time I was mad at my brother. I didn't understand why he was doing that. I thought that he was just being selfish, wanted me to just be there when he didn't understand my dream of wanting a 300ZX. It was this rite of passage. But it wasn't the color that I wanted. And I went ahead and just went and watched the movie, and then that car sold, and I was like, see, I missed the bus. But then like a week later, I found a 300ZX Arctic white, which was the color that I wanted, 2x2, which was exactly what I wanted. And it came off of lease and it only had 39,000 miles on it at the time. And it was exactly what I wanted for the exact price and all those things. So you can't miss the bus. That's the thing that I want you to understand is you can't miss the bus. It's not gonna pass you by. And I think one of the funniest stories that I remember growing up was I thought that, when you turned 18, that was the time to get a tattoo. And I am so thankful that my mom said what she said, and she was very simple with it. And don't get me wrong, I love me some tattoos, have friends with tattoos. They have really cool ones. I love them. I think they're amazing. I don't have any yet. But at the age of 18, I had this grand old idea that I was going to get my Impala, my 63 Impala on my shoulder. And that's what I was like thinking at the time. And I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm going to get this Impala. I'm going to get a tattoo. I'm going to get my Impala on my shoulder. It's going to be amazing. And she just looked at me and she went silent. And I was like, well, what, do you have anything to say? And she's like, don't come home. And I just paused and I realized that, she was serious. I was 18 at the time. And, she was helping me to understand. I don't think it was that she didn't want me to get a tattoo. I think that it was that she saw that I was going to get a dumb tattoo, and I was going to, probably regret it at some point. And so she made that kind of ultimatum. And in my head, I was thinking, oh man, if I don't get it now, I'll never get it. And you can't miss the bus. I still haven't found my perfect tattoo yet. I will at some point. Maybe I won't. But God, he's never going to deliver something late. You're never going to miss out. And most of the time when you feel that you're going to miss out, take a breath, take a pause, and step back from it quickly, and just relax into it. Because honestly, like, God's blessing was made for you. The things that were made for you, and they're coming, and they'll come in their time. But he's got to prepare you for it. And if you're not prepared for it, you won't be able to sustain it. And finally, that he's always right on time. God is always, always right on time. We got a house in Park City, and this happened. It was an absolute blessing. we were going to sell our salons and sell our company, and we were waiting on them to close, right? So we were going to wait on them to close, and then we're going to buy this house in Park City, and the whole thing. And it was the timing was supposed to be perfect. We had signed on it in, I think it was June of 2020, and we secured it in June of 2020, and then we were supposed to close in October. But the house kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And the closing for the salons too, as far as selling the salons, it kept getting pushed back too. And I remember sitting on the beach with God, and I was spending some time, and I was like, well, what's supposed to happen here? Like, why are you delaying this house? Why are you delaying the sale of the salon? And he said, I will not close the house until the salon closes, until the sale of the salon closes. And I was like, well, okay, whatever. And I tell you, it took the better part of a year. So this was late May 2021, and I get the call from the escrow company that the salon is sold, and check my bank account to make sure that the money went through. And I do, and then I say, okay, cool, and I hang up. And right as I hang up, I click over and I feel my phone buzz, and it's an email saying, now you can close on the house. God's time is perfect. It's perfect timing, and it's always exactly right on time. And this is a thing that my pops would say, is that, when preparation meets opportunity, that's when magic happens. And, everything is right on time. See, on my 50th birthday, that was, I told you the story of the young lady that, 25 years before had, been sitting in an audience. And there's no way that that's coincidence. But 25 years later, when things are prepped and ready, website is done, all the preparation is there. I've practiced. I've got the keynotes down. I got all these things, and then the email comes. And so I want to encourage you with that. I was fishing with Maddox a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months, and we're fishing, and I'm just there, and I'm hanging out, and he's catching fish, and I'm not. And I just get an email, and it's this perfect timing of I get an email, hey, do you want to come and do this event? Do you want to come and speak at this event? Okay. And it's just like that. And then there was actually two of them right then, boom, boom. God's timing is perfect. And it brings me to this and I want to give a huge shout out to Lonnie Paxton. He's a great friend, and won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots. With Tom Brady, and he's an incredible guy. He lives here in Carlsbad, and Lonnie, we didn't know this, but we had met at an event, and then we made kind of fast friends. I gave him a hard time because I'm a Titans fan, and we're chatting it up, whatever it is. Well, my wife and I were in Seattle, and she got me tickets to Ed Sheeran because that's my favorite live musical artist. He's unbelievable. We're actually going in SoFi in August. And I turned to my wife during the concert, and I was just about to have the 300th episode of the podcast. And this was a while ago. Today is, I think, episode 746. And I turned to her, and I was like, who should I have on for, the 300th episode? It's a big episode, so who should I have on? And she just looked at me, and she's like, Gerard Butler. And I said, Gerard Butler, why? And she's like, because of 300, he was on the movie 300, all this stuff. So I was like, man. And she's like, but why don't we just sit here and take in the concert? You see where there's a common theme where I'm thinking about other things where I should just be soaking in the moment and where I'm at. And my wife tells me that, and so I'm like, oh man, Gerard Butler. So I just go on the hunt, and I'm reaching out to him. I'm texting him. I talked to one of my friends who was connected closely with him, email, all these things, and I'm getting nothing. Well, it's coming down to the wire, and I've got, episode 300 planned, and I'm like, man, but I don't have a guest. So I get a call or something like that. And, it's Lonnie Paxton. And I was like, hey, Lonnie, what's up, man? I would love to have you on the podcast. And at this point, I'm kind of, I'm a little bit down, whatever it is, because, 300's coming and I don't have Gerard Butler. Well, I go ahead and I schedule Lonnie Paxton, which I think is really cool too. I mean, he's an amazing guy. Don't get me wrong. And I have him in and he's like, hey man, I'm going to bring you some, a couple of surprises. So he comes into the studio, sits down, and he brings in his rings. I think he had 2 rings at the time because he gave one to his dad. And then he brings the Super Bowl trophy. And we're sitting down, we're chatting, chopping it up, everything like that. Well, as we're talking, I had mentioned about Lonnie, about his name, Lonnie, whatever it is. And he's like, yeah, growing up, people couldn't pronounce my full name. And I was like, well, what's your full name? And he said Leonidas. And it hit me at that time because Gerard Butler was Leonidas in 300. And here sitting across from me is Leonidas, but it was perfect timing. And we sat and we had a phenomenal conversation, laughed, and just made a great friendship. And here I was focused on Gerard Butler because he played Leonidas, but God brought me the actual Leonidas. He's always right on time. He is always right on time. And as I read Proverbs 31 today, it was incredible because, here is this thing that it describes a godly woman. And my mom would always tell me to pray for a Proverbs 31 woman, and that she would pray for a Proverbs 31 woman in my life. And it's incredible because as I sat down today, I was wondering, how are you going to deliver today? I was tough getting out of bed today a little bit, and, I went on the dog walk and spent a little bit of time with God. And, I just heard my mom's voice. And my mom's voice was, he's seldom early, never late, always right on time. And how fitting is that it comes from a Proverbs 31 woman and my mom. And she prayed for a Proverbs 31 woman who is Brooklyn in my life. And I'm very fortunate that I have her as a wife and as a mother to my children and as my best friend that I get to go on a date day today with. But it was incredible because when you read in Proverbs 31 on this, it talks about all the traits of a godly woman, right? And the traits of a godly woman, and I'll list them off to you. It's confidence, value, hard work, perseverance, intelligence, ingenuity, wisdom, prudence, honor, and then finally is beauty. So it was the blueprint on how to be able to compliment your woman. First, compliment her on her confidence, value, her hard work, her perseverance, her intelligence, her ingenuity, her wisdom, her prudence, her honor, and then compliment her on her beauty. And when I looked at that, the only way that a woman, I believe, a woman, a man, any of us, whether we're in the valley or we're on the top of the mountain, can settle in and accept the fact that he's seldom early, he's never late, and he's always right on time, is if we have confidence. If we have built confidence, that we have confidence in God's word, that we have value in it, that we've worked hard in it, that we've persevered through scenarios, that our intelligence comes from wisdom, and that wisdom is from the fear of God, that would give us ingenuity, that would bring wisdom, that would bring prudence, which is the thought of the future. It would bring honor. And then finally, it would make us beautiful in all those things. And so where I want to encourage you today is if you got a desire and it's delayed, maybe it's just that you're not prepared for it. I want to encourage you because you won't miss the bus. And I want to encourage you that every single thing, every single blessing is going to be right on time. Every single one of them. And when it's right on time, then you'll tell the story. You'll tell the story not of yourself. You'll tell the story of how God blessed you. And then you'll turn your eyes to where my parents always turned mine to, my mama and my pops, when I would ask them a question. They would say to me, I don't know, but I know someone who does. And then they would direct my eyes to the Lord, which would be frustrating at the time, and it might be frustrating for you right now. But I want to encourage you in wherever you're at. And I want to let you know that you may not be exactly where you want to be, but you're definitely not, and praise God for this, that you're not where you used to be. And the reflection over this year, which a lot of us are going to be doing, and a lot of us are going to be, just shouting out our highlights. Take the time to look at the valleys that you were in, that God was giving you rest, that he took you into a dark place to be able to give you rest, to be able to climb the next mountain. Because he's seldom early, he's never late, and he's always right on time. I want to thank every single one of you. I want to thank Stacy and Dan for always listening. There's a little guy, Coy, and I want to tell you about him because this guy, I coached him for a season in football, and he is an unbelievable human being. He comments on every single one of the podcasts, and he is just a joy in life. My buddy Rob Kuzer grew up with him and his brother Ken, and he called me the other day and said that he had listened to the podcast, and he was very and he enjoyed it. Jessica Hermosillo, I want to tell you how much it's meant to me to be able to speak to your company. The Shearer Group, Fred Shearer, you guys are awesome. And I look forward to having all of you. Judith Scott, you reached out and said that you're coming to the Vibe Room March 11th. I look forward to be able to spend time with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure. It's been a phenomenal, phenomenal year. I look forward to very many more in the future. My buddy Craig Gottlieb and I are doing some collaboration stuff with history, and we're just going to evolve it and work with it. And please keep me accountable. Please hold me accountable as you listen to the podcast. Send me out a message. Keep me accountable, because there's a lot of times where I get in a hurry. There's a lot of times where I look at metrics. There's a lot of times where I say, well, this one's not hitting the way that it should, or whatever it is. But I want you to hold me accountable, because I don't have it all figured out, and I'm figuring it out as I go, but I want to make sure that I do that through integrity and wisdom. That he's seldom early, because he's waiting to prepare us. He's never late. We can't miss the bus. And he's always right on time. Thank you so much. A phenomenal year of 2025. We'll bring on 2026, but taking it in stones, little tiny victories, and celebrate them always. Have a wonderful day. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Yeah, and this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launchpad flights. Yeah, this the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launchpad flights. We begun surfing waves too low, made our own rules everywhere we go. Held tight to the truth that our parents declared. Anything is possible, the love stayed there. Now Rob's daughter ballin' on the end scene, Olay scene. Will's kids live dreams we never could have seen. This the vibe that raised us, made us, saved us. Love so strong that the hard times praised us. From base life roots to the freeway nights, we turn small rooms into launchpad flights.